Welcome back. This Thursday, at least 16 schools were targeted with fake threat calls across Wisconsin, including here in Madison. A caller told police a student had shot at the school. In every case, they were all false. I spoke to the executive director of the National Association of School Resource Officers, who told me this is part of a national trend starting near the beginning of the school year.
If we could start with you just describing when this wave of threats seemed to start and kind of how widespread it's become around the nation.
This new phenomenon seemed to start shortly after school really got started, late August, early September, once we really, as a nation, across the nation, kind of got back to school this year. And so it doesn't seem to have stopped.
How far has it gone? You mentioned several states. I know that your organization is tracking news reports from various states. Can you provide a few more details of, do we perhaps know these are connected? What do we know about them?
I think there's some reason to believe that they're connected. Certainly. And we're up to 28 states now, plus the District of Columbia. And there's been some consistency in a lot of these, and the consistency has been thick accent, seems to be reading from a script type thing. That seems to be part of the consistent message we're getting, although there do seem to be some outliers in terms of maybe some copycat activity, where I know there's been at least one arrest made in one state.
Some law enforcement agencies I saw in Minnesota, they had tracked it. One agency, the IP address to Ethiopia. Do you have other agencies been able to track it to the same place or similar places to your knowledge?
Yeah, that seems to be a part of the consistency here, that it does seem to be a location in Africa on a lot of these calls. And so I would say that part, from what I'm hearing and reading, it seems like on a daily basis is pretty consistent.
What's the emotional impact and just the logistical impact to schools when this type of thing happens?
As a former SRO, I've been involved in some real incidents where we've had to lock schools down. And so when we do that, the students, and the staff, they realize that this is more than just a normal drill. It doesn't take long to figure that out. And certainly there's a level of fear there and anxiety, just actually trauma that occurs that you can't deny. And so even when it's a fake call, and no matter how long it seems fake, whatever that time period is, that trauma is going on. And so schools have definitely got to, and some of them I'm sure are, got to formulate plans for how they deal with the fallout from that.
Now, this has gotten so bad that the organization actually released some guidance for schools and school resource officers on how to respond to these. Could you walk me through some of that guidance?
Yeah, we did. And I think that, part of the guidance is that you have got to follow the policies and procedures that you would if it were a real event. Because, here's the thing to consider. What if this is some type of test of our systems and we begin to allow ourselves to hesitate or get complacent? That if a real situation occurred, that could cost lives. So we've got to make sure that we're staying consistent in following our procedures, going into those lockdowns when it's necessary. The law enforcement response inside and outside has to proceed as if it's a real event. We don't really have a choice in that matter. And then in terms of school resource officers, we believe that they are well suited when a school is able to have a school resource officer. That's a great opportunity for that SRO to be able to help diagnose that situation and bring it to some resolution quickly if it is a fake call, and to help slow down that code response that's going on from law enforcement.
I don't want to ask you to speculate here, but I'm also going to ask you to speculate a little bit. Why would someone do this? Why would an organization or a person or whoever is behind this, especially if these are all connected, what's the end goal here?
Well, I think, when we look back historically on bomb threats, and it's the best thing I have to try to draw some correlation here, is that in many of those instances, we began to recognize that the person calling that in or sending the message that there's a bomb was certainly about being able to be in control of a situation. This seems somewhat different, though, and one of the things that I've found myself wondering, as far as speculation is, and I mentioned it a minute ago, is someone potentially testing our systems to see how we respond to things? I think that's something worth considering, and I know it sounds a little conspiracy theorish, but at the same time, could very well be.
I really appreciate you taking the time to talk about this.
In a few moments, a lighter story about UW's so-called button man to end your week.